guy is supposed to imitate Kurogane. And so we go boop, 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 and I go and Colleen was like, no, you can't sound just like him. It's not Vic imitating Sabbath, it's Phi imitating Kurogane. He wouldn't be that bad. It wouldn't be that, that close to it. So unfortunately I had to dial down the accuracy level, but it was so much fun. That's one of my favorite parts, was working with Chuck Huber. Yes?
You said that your musical career was twice as long as your voice acting?
Yes, but we won't be doing any math to figure out what my birthday is. See, twice as long as Yes?
I just want to know, what made you want to go into voice acting?
What's your name?
Josh.
Josh, it's nice to meet you. You know what? I'll be honest with you, Josh. I never planned to go into voice acting. It was purely, and I'm not going to turn this into a church service, but it was purely a gift from God. I mean that from my heart, and my girl will tell you that. I had never even considered voice acting. Since I was very young, I did a lot of theater, a lot of stage acting, some on-camera stuff. I was always doing something somewhere because I just loved it, loved performing. Whether it was a church play, or a school play, or community theater, or a drama camp, summer camp, or any of a number of things, or home movies that I would get my friends in the neighborhood together and do. I was always doing something. And even though I loved cartoons and anime when I was young, like I was a big Speed Racer fan, and I didn't even know Speed Racer was anime. I just knew that it looked cool, It looked different than Scooby-Doo, and I liked it. But I never even considered, Josh, voice acting. And then one day I was doing a video production in Houston, Texas, and one of the guys that I was working with said, hey, you've got a lot of experience in acting, don't you? I'm like, yeah, gosh, been doing it since I was like 6. My minor in college was theaters. I did a lot of it. And he said, well, there's this place in town called ADV Films. And he said they buy these Japanese animated shows and they translate them into English and they redub them into English, and they're looking for actors. They need actors. And I thought, wow, that sounds like fun. I don't really know what would ever come of it. And at the time, you guys, anime was like this big. It was just this little kind of a subculture, fringe, niche market. So I went and auditioned. It was a little teeny tiny company, little studio, control room, not much, run by fans that liked this kind of thing, and so they wanted to do this. And I got cast as Vega in Street Fighter 2. And so I did that show, and it was really fun. It was very different, and it was very odd to hear your voice come out of some cartoon character's mouth, but I loved it. And then the next show came along, and I got cast in that. And then the next show, I got cast in that. The funny thing was, I didn't even know what happened to these things after we recorded them. I didn't even know. I didn't know how they were released, where they were released. Every once in a while, they would give me, get ready, don't get scared, a VHS cassette. You guys, this was before they even put it on DVD. That's how long ago we're talking about. And so I would get these video cassettes and be like, cool, this is like the show I did. I didn't even know where you would buy it. For all I knew, anime, you know what I mean? Like, who even watches this? Thank God that you do. So I was still doing my own career stuff, like writing music professionally, doing video and film production professionally, doing some graphic design professionally, and just doing this little voice acting thing on the side. It was nothing. It was not a career in any way, shape, or form. And then I got invited to an anime convention. And I was like, wait a minute, come on, really? When I was your age, I went to Star Trek conventions, but I didn't know there were anime conventions. And sure enough, I got invited to an anime convention. And I never forget going in and sitting at a table like this, and kids coming up dressed as my characters that I'd played. And by this time, I had probably I'd probably done like 15 or 20 shows by this point. The thing I was best known for was like Sayuki Full Metal Panic. But I was blown away that everybody knew, you know, and people would show up with wall scrolls and little action figures and things for me to sign, and I was blown away. I had no idea that there was this fan base. Continued working, and one convention I met some people from another studio, not ADV, from up in Dallas, Funimation. And we hit it off at the convention, and one of them said to me, hey, why don't you come up to Dallas and audition for some stuff? Okay. So I auditioned and got cast in Dragon Ball Z as Broly, and then Yu Yu Hakusho, and Spiral, and Kitty Grade, and Case Closed, and so now I'm working in Houston and working in Dallas. And then Funimation got the license for Full Metal Alchemist. And I was blessed enough to get to be a part of that, and then it just kept going and going and going and going. And then more and more anime shows started getting on television. And then I met from convention appearances, I started meeting people in Los Angeles. People from studios in LA that did Naruto and Bleach and Hellsing and all of these different shows out there. Then I started working in LA. And somewhere along the line, about, I don't even remember when it happened, anime just exploded. And it was everywhere. And I say this completely as thanks to God, I just happened to be in the middle of it when it did. So you can imagine, therefore, Josh, that I get up every day and thank God for the chance to do what I do, because I never chose it, I never planned it. It was just an open door that I kind of, you know, wandered through, and it turned out to be this amazing career. And, you know, the chance to meet so many of you guys all over the world. I just came back from a convention in Sweden. I didn't even know they watched things in English in Sweden. I was like, what's Swedish for Full Metal Alchemist? You know, I don't even know, you know. Der Metal Schaffenboden. You know, I mean, what is that? So I didn't even know that they even would know anything about the English thing, but they'd never had an international guest before, and I was the first one to get to go. Who gets to do that? You know what I mean? What a blessing, what a gift. I'm so blown away. And the chance to interact with you guys and work on things that you enjoy, whether it's something that makes you laugh, or makes you cry, or helps get you through a difficult time, or helps for a bonding experience between you and a good friend, or you and your parents, or you and your sister or brother. I am so profoundly grateful to get to do that. I can't tell you. Who's got a question? Yes, sir.
You were mentioning you did a lot of stage work as well. Do you approach your voice characters in the same ways you approach your stage characters?
That's an awesome, I don't think anyone's ever asked that question. That's a great question. It's rather warm in here. But you are the king. Thank you so much, my brother. That was very nice. Very nice. Not quite the same, because so many decisions are already made for you. In anime, the character's already drawn. You know what I'm saying? He's very clearly defined in the show. Like, you know, we say Edward Elric, and you think of, okay, he's rebellious, he's kind of smart mouth, and, you know, he loves his brother, and blah, blah, blah. So you... Yeah, notice that I didn't say anything about his height. There are already very clearly defined parameters of that character. And my job is to bring those character qualities to life and make it believable and realistic. And the way they're drawn, what they look like. As opposed to, if I were doing a stage play, I might, and I was playing this kid named Edward Elric, and there was no show, there was no precedent. Who knows what I might do with it? You know what I'm saying? I might make him very different. I might, you know, who knows? And I'm just throwing this out there, but, you know, maybe he's not freaked out about being short. Maybe he's really skinny and he hates being made fun of because he's so thin. Or maybe he's very studious like, you know, and he has glasses, and he's like a bookworm, and gets made fun of by the kids who like play sports and stuff because he's kind of a nerd. You know, I mean, who knows? Again, I'm just shooting from the hip here, but you understand what I mean. You would be able to create in a stage play setting. You would make a lot of choices and maybe make a different character, but the character has already been so clearly defined that that you don't have those same kind of freedoms. And then the hardest thing of all, you guys, is matching the mouth movements. Yeah, Michelle she's like, so hard. She's over here mouthing the words so hard. And it's not hard to match the mouth movements. It's hard to make it sound real. See, it's not just enough to mechanically match it. You need to make it feel like it's natural and authentic and emotional, while still matching a very, very tight rhythm of mouth movements. And it's very tricky. It's very tricky, and that's one of the biggest challenges. Yes, ma'am.